Chase-chan was not panicked. I originally thought that if it was difficult to kill from a distance, I would directly learn from Jasmine Gone and detonate explosives, but in the end, I didn't use it. Why didn't you explain this before? Chase-chan calmly looked into Greg Wong's eyes and said, "You didn't ask, and I forgot to mention it." Greg Wong was furious. "Based on the remaining materials in your house, you must have synthesized at least 100 grams of TNT, but now we've only found 30 grams in your house. Where's the rest?" Chase-chan smiled somewhat unexpectedly. "I didn't expect your police force to be so capable, calculating the mass of the reaction product from the chemical equation. Indeed, there should have been about 100 grams, but an accident occurred during the previous experiments, and they failed, so it wasn't successfully synthesized." Greg Wong grabbed his collar higher. "Don't bullshit me. How could someone like you fail in chemical experiments? Tell me, where is the rest? Is it in the hands of your accomplices?" Chase-chan still calmly said, "I think I've told you many times, I really don't have any accomplices. I can't understand why you always suspect I have accomplices. Anyone can fail any chemical experiment. There are many factors that affect the success rate, such as the purity of the raw materials, temperature, environmental control, time." "Shut up." This matter was of great importance. Greg Wong simply couldn't believe that his experiment had failed so badly, leaving only a small portion, and he shouted loudly, "I'll ask you one more time. Where's the rest of the TNT?" Chase-chan said, "The experiment failed, and it was disposed of along with the materials. You're done for." Greg Wong dropped these words and immediately called Jacqueline to help, harshly saying, "You think you're untouchable because of your brain tumor, right? Breaking your hand and then fixing it back shouldn't be a problem, right?" He and Jacqueline tied Chase-chan to a chair, unlocked his handcuffs, and each pulled one of his hands backward. "Ah." Chase-chan immediately screamed in pain. "Will you talk now?" Chase-chan broke out in a cold sweat. "Really? It really was a failed experiment?" Greg Wong had no patience left. "If you don't confess, I'll break your hand right now." He immediately exerted more force, and Chase-chan's hand was already deformed, even hearing a cracking sound. Chase-chan could no longer bear the pain and shouted, "I'll talk. I'll talk." Greg Wong signaled Jacqueline with a look, and the two let go, finding that Chase-chan's crotch was already wet. Greg Wong turned to him satisfied. "Now you've confessed, haven't you?" Chase-chan painfully massaged his elbow joint, tremblingly said, It's with Xander Su at the prosecutor's office." "Xander Su?" Greg Wong's eyes lit up. "Xander Su is your accomplice." Chase-chan gave a bitter smile and said sadly, "How could Xander Su be my accomplice? He's one of your people. If he knew I had returned to Jean County, he might have guessed the case was done by me, and he would have reported it to gain merit immediately." Greg Wong puzzled. "Then why do you say the remaining TNT is with Xander Su? You still want to continue making up stories?" "It is. It's with him. I sent him a box of cigars anonymously. They were imported cigars from the United States. In the bottom row of cigars, inside the tobacco, I placed a segment of trinitrotoluene." Greg Wong and Jacqueline both widened their eyes. He had suspected Xander Su was an accomplice, and even now still had some doubts. How could he have imagined Chase-chan wanted to kill Xander Su? This was completely unexpected. You wanted to kill Xander Su?" Chase-chan said expressionlessly. "Yes, I wanted to kill him, but so far I haven't heard of anyone from the prosecutor's office having an accident. It seems he hasn't smoked the cigars from the bottom row. I remember he used to smoke. Has he quit now? Or maybe the courier package was lost. Otherwise, a box of top-quality imported cigars, worth more than $2,000, he had no reason not to smoke them. But so many days have passed, it seems my plan indeed failed. They say you and he were childhood friends, although you didn't contact much after you went to the United States. But why did you want to kill him?" Chase-chan snorted coldly. "Yes, he and I were childhood friends. I didn't have many friends before, only him. I valued our friendship very much. But he changed. After I went to the United States, I always secretly cared about Jasmine Gone, listening to the bits and pieces of conversations among classmates to get her news. I also knew that Xander Su had passed the exam to work in your county's prosecutor's office. Later, I heard from Xander Su that Jasmine Gone became his girlfriend, but a few months later, he told me that he felt Jasmine Gone wouldn't bring any future prospects, so he decided to break up. A very pure love, but he had to involve materialistic considerations. Do you think he's hateful? He changed after joining the office, always thinking about a smooth career, flattering, and trying to stand out. Just because of material considerations, he chose to break up with Jasmine Gone. What is this? How could he treat Jasmine Gone like this? Moreover, after Jian's death, I called him to ask about the situation. I asked him to help comfort and take care of Jasmine Gone. But did he do it? He didn't. For his own career, not wanting to offend people, not wanting to get involved in this matter related to the Fan family, he didn't do it. As a result, Jasmine Gone died. The Fan family and others are certainly hateful. Do you think Xander Su is hateful? Hateful? Huh. Chase-chan sneered. Greg Wong pursed his lips and also felt relieved about the whereabouts of the TNT, frowning and said, "You also wronged Xander Su on this matter. As far as I know, Xander Su had run to the He family several times to visit after the incident. He did his best." Huh, is that so? Chase-chan's face still showed disdain and hatred. Greg Wong pondered for a moment and said, "We also found potassium cyanide in your house. You haven't used it in your 4 crimes. What did you synthesize it for?" Chase-chan said, "Originally, I wanted to put potassium cyanide in the milk at Vincent Fan's house, but then I considered that if someone drank potassium cyanide, it would act rapidly within a minute or 2. If Vincent Fan and his wife didn't drink the milk at the same time, seeing one person fall ill, the other certainly wouldn't drink it. Considering this problem, so I gave up on potassium cyanide and switched to using arsenic trioxide, which acts slower but is equally lethal." Greg Wong nodded. This explanation was completely reasonable. There were still questions left, but he needed to go back and organize his thoughts before asking further. Now, he had to deal with the issue of Xander Su's box of cigars. Although nothing had happened so far, if today he happened to smoke a cigar with TNT, it would be a big problem. Back in the office, Greg Wong immediately made a call. "Hello, is this Xander Su? This is Greg Wong. Have you received a box of cigars recently?" "Cigars?" Xander Su hesitated, then said, "Yes. What's the matter? Where are the cigars now? I've always thrown them in the drawer." "Good. Then don't touch them. We'll be right over." "What's going on?" By this time, Greg Wong had already hung up the phone. More than 10 minutes later, Greg Wong, along with Dr. Chen and a group of people, arrived at the prosecutor's office, explained the situation, and went straight to Xander Su's office. "Where are the cigars?" "Here. I'll get them out." Xander Su placed the cigars on the table, nervously asking, "Chief Wong, is there something wrong with these cigars?" "Yes, there's a big problem." Greg Wong left these words, then carefully opened the cigar box. Xander Su watched him nervously, still not knowing what secret was hidden in the box of cigars Chase-chan had sent. "Did you smoke one?" Greg Wong noticed one cigar was missing. "Yes, that's right." In fact, the missing one was Xander Su breaking one open to see what was hidden inside. Greg Wong turned around and probed Xander Su again. "Where did you get these cigars?" "I received a package. There was no sender's name on it. When I opened it, it was this box of cigars. I took one out to smoke, but I didn't like the taste of the cigar, and I've quit smoking. So I've just left it in the drawer without touching it." Greg Wong smiled. Xander Su's answer matched Chase-chan's statement without any discrepancies. He remembered the first time he talked with Xander Su. When he pulled out a cigarette, Xander Su also said he had quit smoking. Plus the recent tracking and understanding of Xander Su, as well as the investigation of phone and internet chat records, he was completely reassured about Xander Su. Then, he asked Dr. Chen to take out one of the bottom row of cigars, break it open, and indeed, a segment of white crystalline substance fell out. In addition, a detonator was hidden in the tobacco. Dr. Chen carefully identified it and said, "Boss, it's indeed TNT. This detonator is a fire detonator, which can immediately detonate the TNT upon encountering fire, the same as what was found in Chase-chan's house." TNT. Xander Su was shocked. How could there be TNT hidden in these cigars? Greg Wong said, "Fortunately, you didn't continue to smoke this box of cigars. Otherwise, there might have been a big accident." "Chief Wong, what exactly is going on?" Xander Su noticed that Greg Wong's attitude towards him had also changed subtly, but he didn't understand why there was TNT in the cigars and how Chase-chan managed to clear himself of suspicion. Greg Wong picked up another cigar from the bottom, broke it open, and TNT and a detonator fell out again, instructing Dr. Chen to take the items back and weigh them. Then he turned to Xander Su to explain, "Can you guess who sent you this box of cigars?" "Who?" "Chase-chan." "Chase-chan." Xander Su's face showed exaggerated surprise. "Yes, Chase-chan has already been caught by us. You must know about this." According to his statement, he bought a box of high-end American imported cigars, In the bottom row of cigars, he wrapped TNT and some tobacco with cigar paper, remade them. His goal was to kill you while you were smoking. Xander Sue was terrified. No, it can't be. At this moment, he also understood why Chase-Chen warned him never to touch the gifts he received. It was because he was afraid he would try to smoke one and have an accident. Greg Wong said, "That's the truth. You've seen it yourself. Fortunately, you only smoked the top row of one cigar." "But why? Why would he do this?" "He said that you initially dated Jasmine Gone, but later you chose to break up with Jasmine Gone. But that shouldn't make him want to kill me. It's impossible. We had a good relationship when we were kids. He couldn't do this to me." Xander Sue had an incredulous expression. He also said, after Jian's incident, he asked you to comfort Jasmine Gone. "Yes, that's true. I also mentioned this to you last time. But in the end, Jasmine Gone still chose to take an extreme path. For this, he harbored resentment towards you." Xander Sue's face showed distress. "But I really did try to console her. I never would have thought Jasmine Gone would react like this. How could she? How could she have such a big misunderstanding about me? And why would Chase-Chen hate me because of Jasmine Gone, even to the point of wanting to kill me? You didn't know that Jasmine Gone was once Chase-Chen's girlfriend?" Xander Sue was stunned for a moment. He was well aware that Jasmine Gone had never been Chase-Chen's girlfriend. Greg Wong asking this question obviously meant that this was what Chase-Chen had claimed, but should he say he knew or didn't know? After a brief thought, he decided it was safer to claim ignorance, as not knowing was the truth. If he said he knew, and Greg Wong went to ask others who all had no recollection of such a thing, wouldn't he be suspected by Greg Wong? He hurriedly said, "I've never heard of that. It seems unlikely." Greg Wong said, "Perhaps describing them as boyfriend and girlfriend isn't quite right. To be precise, there was a time when Chase-Chen and Jasmine Gone were quite close. Did you know about this? I'm not from the same school as him, and I've never heard him mention it." All right, it seemed that at least Xander Sue was unaware of the relationship between Chase-Chen and Jasmine Gone. Greg Wong would have to ask others, then. Patting Xander Sue on the shoulder, he said, "I know this is hard for you, but the fact is, he did it." Xander Sue sighed deeply, fell silent for a while, and then said, "Director Wong, I want to know what Chase-Chen's final sentence will be. After all the evidence is thoroughly investigated, the rest is not up to the police. You've been with the prosecutor's office for many years. You know well what this case entails. Apart from the death penalty, there's no other possibility." Xander Sue bit his lip and nodded. After a while, he pleaded, "Director Wong, can I see Chase-Chen?" "Why, you still want to see him? After all, we've been friends for decades. I don't want him to misunderstand me." Greg Wong shook his head. "No, this is a major case reported to the Ministry of Public Security. I don't have the authority to let you see him." Xander Sue silently turned his head away, unable to hold back his tears. This time, he wasn't acting in front of Greg Wong. He was genuinely sad for Chase-Chen. Back at the county bureau, Jacqueline brought the latest investigative news. Chase-Chen was found carrying 2 IDs, one being his real identification and the other a highly realistic fake ID named Chin Qian, along with a household registration booklet under the same name. He used Chin Qian's ID and household registration booklet to handle the procedures for buying a second-hand Mercedes and a second-hand house. No one would use a fake ID to buy a car or a house, as the property rights would not belong to them. Yet, Chase-Chen did just that, so when they checked the vehicle administration and the real estate bureau, they couldn't find any property or vehicle registration information under Chase-Chen's name. However, the police would never find the third fake ID because Chase-Chen had already destroyed it. According to Chase-Chen's confession, he had made detailed plans before the entire murder case. He didn't come up with the next crime plan after committing one. Instead, he had considered everything before committing the first crime. Although he couldn't initially conceive the specific methods for each crime, he listed various crime possibilities and noted the potential tools he might need. Later, he visited other cities like Hangzhou and Ningbo multiple times to purchase electric bikes, chemical materials, toy replica guns, medical anesthesia guns, SIM cards, and even ordered various fake IDs based on advertisements on telephone poles. The court staff ID was just one of the many fake IDs he had, in addition to fake IDs from various government and corporate entities, though these ultimately weren't used. The milk crate was the only item he had ordered before committing the crimes, and it was this detail that exposed the identity of the murderer. Greg Wong carefully organized all the investigative results from the past few days, noting them down in a notebook. The case was now essentially clear, but he still had a few doubts that needed confirmation. First, the old question: did Chase Chin have an accomplice? Although Chase Chin's confession and the evidence they had gathered showed no contradictions, Greg Wong remained skeptical. It seemed incredible that one person could commit such an unprecedented major crime without an accomplice. However, the evidence suggesting an accomplice in the early stages had all been explained away by Chase Chin. And from what others knew, Chase Chin was introverted and had few friends before going abroad. He hadn't returned to the country for 10 years, so where would he find an accomplice? The only possible accomplice, Xander Su, had been ruled out. Second, it was still the unresolved issue from the first question. What exactly was the relationship between Chase Chin and Jasmine Gan? If, as he claimed, Jasmine Gan became his so-called, more wishful-thinking girlfriend after breaking up with Leo Lu, and he was deeply moved by this, then his committing the crimes alone would be plausible. But if it wasn't as he said, and Jasmine Gan had never been his girlfriend, then Chase Chin's supposed motive for the crimes would not hold, and he must have had an accomplice. So, by clarifying the second question, the first question of whether Chase Chin had an accomplice could be resolved. Greg Wong pondered for a while, then called Jack Lin to phone Leo Lu to inquire about the situation back then, listening in on the conversation. After the call connected, Jack Lin first informed Leo Lu that they had solved the case, and the perpetrator was their old classmate, Chase Chin, who had already been arrested. On the other end of the phone, Leo Lu was extremely surprised. He could never have imagined that the seemingly weak and unremarkable introverted classmate, the least noticeable one, whose name he could barely remember without being prompted, could commit such a major crime. Although he had speculated that Chase Chin might be the murderer when Greg Wong had previously called to inquire about him, he was still shocked when the police confirmed the news. Jack Lin urged, "Mr. Lu, there's something we need you to recall. After you and Jasmine Gan broke up, how was her mood? She was the one who initiated the breakup. We know, you've already mentioned that. What about her mood afterward?" Not very good, somewhat depressed. Maybe she didn't really want to break up, just felt that our personalities didn't match. After a breakup, people always need some time to adjust, right? During that period, did Chase Chin get very close to her, even becoming her boyfriend? Became her boyfriend? Leo Lu was clearly taken aback and then denied it. Impossible. How could Jasmine Gan possibly like Chase Chin? He felt this question was an insult to himself. His memory of Chase Chin was vague, but he clearly remembered him as an unattractive person. How could Jasmine Gan possibly like him? Greg Wong whispered a reminder from the side. According to Chase Chin's confession, I think their relationship wasn't exactly that of boyfriend and girlfriend. More like they were just close. Ask him if there was any interaction between Chase Chin and Jasmine Gan during that period. Jack Lin continued, was there any interaction between Jasmine Gan and Chase Chin after you two broke up? Leo Lu thought for a moment, then answered, I can't remember clearly. Even if there was any interaction, it wouldn't have been very close. Please try to recall more carefully. Leo Lu thought again, I really can't remember any interactions between Chase Chin and her. He paused, then suddenly said, oh, I remember something. One time during class, I saw Jasmine Gan give Chase Chin a letter. Later, I asked Jasmine Gan what it was about, but she didn't tell me. We had already broken up by then. Did you ever ask Chase Chin about it? I did, but he refused to say, and I didn't feel it was right to press him. He was very introverted. He didn't talk to others much, and we rarely initiated conversation with him. So, you don't know the content of the letter? Right, that's it. If there was any interaction, that's the only thing I remember. I hope it helps. Thank you. We're still in the investigation stage, so please keep the news of Chase Chin's arrest confidential. Of course, of course. After hanging up, Greg Wong was thoughtful. It seemed that Chase Chin's confession about having a secret relationship with Jasmine Gan was credible. After calling a few more classmates, their reactions and responses were essentially the same as Leo Lu's, with even one person having seen Chase Chin give Jasmine Gan a letter. It appeared that the relationship between Chase Chin and Jasmine Gan was real, which meant it was also true that he had no accomplices. However, one final verification was needed. 2 days later, Greg Wong received Dr. Chen's report. The Provincial Forensic Evidence Identification Center's DNA comparison results for the hair remnants found in the iron barrel confirmed that the hair indeed belonged to Chase Chin, with no DNA from a second person found. Additionally, several hairs found in the corner of Chase Chin's bedroom were also confirmed to be his. This further convinced Greg Wong that Chase Chin had no accomplices. Later, Greg Wong questioned Chase Chin again, asking how he knew how to make a phone call without being tracked by the police during the first kidnapping case. Chase Chin replied that he had seen it online and had brought a mobile phone signal disperser with him when he returned to the country, which was confirmed by the device found in his home. He was also asked about his homosexuality. Chase Chin was initially reluctant to discuss it, but later admitted in bits and pieces that perhaps because he loved Jasmine Gone too deeply, he had no interest in other women, leading to a somewhat distorted psychology. However, he had always tried to restrain himself, only occasionally experimenting with such things. Greg Wong then took out the voice changer found in the home and had Chase Chin repeat the words from that time. After comparing the voice with the recording, it was confirmed that the person on the phone was indeed Chase Chin. Additionally, Greg Wong showed Chase Chin the surveillance footage of the Lee Gang case, asking him to identify which person riding an electric bike was him. Chase Chin quickly pointed himself out, and through comparison, it was confirmed that the electric bike was the one found in the residential complex used by Chase Chin for the crime and also for delivering milk when Vincent Fan was murdered. The only discrepancy was that the person on the electric bike always kept their head down while riding, and no surveillance footage captured facial features. The rider's physique appeared thinner than Chase Chin's actual build, but Chase Chin insisted it was him, attributing it to the clothing he wore at the time.